Hello and welcome back to True Crime Lounge. I am back. I am doing more episodes. I'm so happy. So I'm going to start a little mini series on the very frustrating case of Madeleine McCann. Now y'all know I love true crime. Y'all know I could talk about it all day if I wanted to, and I don't really care if it freaks people out. But this is one of those cases that frustrates me because somebody out there knows what happens to this little girl. She would have been in her 20s today, for crying out loud. And it's sad. Somebody out there knows what happens, but they're not coming forward to anything like that. Please come forward. Please help this family out. I remember, this case was one of the very first cases. It's been a while, but yeah. But, mm, that I actually learned about. And I remember a Lifetime movie being made about this and everything. But this is the True Crime Lounge podcast. I do have a Patreon that you can join for early access for episodes scheduled to come out. I also have a merch shop for all your true crime gear. And for any updates on my channel or podcast, you can find me on Twitter, Instagram, and Facebook. With that being said, why don't I dive into today's episode, shall we? Um, Today we are going to be talking about a case that truly, truly angers me because there were way more questions than answers, and the fact that these parents left their children sleeping alone, I also believe that somebody knows the truth about what happened to Madeleine and is trying to evade justice in this case. And on today's episode, we are going to discuss the first part of our 5-part series on the case of Madeleine McCann. Now, do you remember a Lifetime movie called Abducted? Well, it was inspired by this case, but the only difference is that there was a happy ending. And this case remains open, and there are so many questions only about the case, but but also around the parents. And here's the thing: I also truly, truly believe that sadly somebody killed that little girl, and justice is being evaded. I truly believe that, honestly. Some, but yeah, but yeah, but why, with all this widespread media, is what I want to know. Why, with all this widespread media that we have today, why are there no answers to this case? Why? Like, here's the thing: I love true crime, but it's cases that involve children that truly get to me and everything. Now, why don't I jump in? Let's talk about her disappearance now. Madeleine was 30 in 2007 when she went missing, and she will be 20. She would have been 20 something today. And Madeleine Beth McCann was born May 12, 2003 in Leicester, Leicestershire, England. At the age of 3, she disappeared while on holiday with her parents, family, in Praia de los Lagos, Portugal. And her parents are Jerry and Kate McCann. She had bleach blonde hair, blue eyes, a green right eye, and with a brown spot on her iris, and a small brown spot on her left leg. Madeleine is a British missing person who was at the age of 3 and disappeared from her bed in a holiday apartment in Portugal on May 3rd, 2007. Now, the Daily Telegraph would describe her disappearance as the most heavily reported missing disappearance case in modern history, and her whereabouts remain unknown. And although German prosecutors believe she is dead, now like I said, she was on holiday with her family in the UK. With her family from the UK, with her parents, Kate and Jerry, and her 2 twin siblings, and a group of and with a group of family friends and their children. And the McCann children have been left asleep at 20:30 on the ground floor while their parents dined with friends at a restaurant that was 180 feet away. And the parents would check in on the children throughout the evening until Kate disappeared and Madeleine was missing at 2200. Now, over the following weeks, she was It was particularly after the misinterpreting a British DNA analysis that the Portuguese police came to believe that Madeleine had died in an accident in the apartment and her parents had covered it up. Now, the McCanns were given um, suspect status in September 2007, which she lifted when a Portugal Attorney General archived the case in July 2008 for lack of evidence. Now, Madeleine's parents continued the investigation using private detectives until Scotland Yard opened its own inquiry, Operation Grunge, in 2011. Now, the senior investigating officer announced that he would be treating the disappearance as a criminal act by a stranger, most likely planned abduction or burglary gone wrong. In 2013, Scotland Yard released EFIT images of men they wanted to trace, including one man carrying a child toward the beach on the night Madeleine vanished. And shortly after this, the Portuguese police reopened the inquiry, and Operation Grange was scaled back in 2015, but the remaining detectives continued to pursue the case through a small number of inquiries described in April 2017 as significant. Now, in June 2020, the authorities declared that Christian Bruckner, their prime suspect for the abduction and murder of McCann, but charges have yet to be formalized. And Madeleine's disappearance attracted substantial press coverage both in the UK and internationally, reminiscent of the death of Diana, Princess of Wales, in 1997. Now, her parents were subject to intense scrutiny and baseless allegations of the involvement in the death, particularly the tabloid press and on Twitter. In 2008, they and their traveling companions received damages and apologies from the Express newspapers, and in 2011, the McCanns testified before the Levinson inquiry into British press misconduct, lending support to those arguing in a tighter press regulation. Now, let's talk about some of the people involved in this case. We have the people. Madeleine McCann. She was born in England, and she lived with her family in Rothney, Leicestershire. And at her parents' request, she was made a ward of the court in England shortly after her disappearance, which gave the court statutory powers to act on her behalf. Now, the police described Madeleine as blonde hair and blue-green eyes, a small brown spot on her left calf, and a more distinctive strip on the iris of her right eye. And in 2009, the McCanns released progressed image of how she may have looked at the age of 6. And in 2012, the Scotland Yard commissioned one of her at the age of 9. Now let's talk about her parents, Kate and Jerry McCann. Her parents were both physicians and practicing Roman Catholics. Kate Marie McCann attended All Saints School in Anfield and then Notre Dame High School in Everton Valley, and she graduated in 1992 with a degree in medicine from the University of Dundee. She moved briefly into obstetrics and gynecology and then anesthetics before finally general practice. Gerald Patrick McCann attended Hollywood RC Secondary School before graduating from the University of Glasgow with a BSc in Psychology Sports Science in 1989. And in 1992, he qualified in medicine and in 2002 obtained an MD from Glasgow. And since 2005, he has been a consulting cardiologist at Glenfield Hospital in Leicester. And the McCanns met in 1993 in Glasgow, and where family is in 1998. Madeleine was born in 2003, and twin boys, a boy and a girl, in 2005. So, let's talk about the Tappas 7. The McCanns were on holiday. Wow! With their 7 friends, and it was 8 children in all, including the McCanns 3, and the 9 adults dying together on the evening of 2030, and the results Tapas restaurant as a result of the media dub difference to Tapa 7. Now, the report of one of the groups, Jane Turner, said that she saw a man carrying a child from the resort 45 minutes before Madeleine was reported missing, and became one of the most discussed aspects of the case. Now, as a Rua doctor, anyway, the McCanns would arrive April 28, 2007 for the 7 children spring break in the village in Portugal's Algarve region in the population of 1,000 known as Little Britain. Because of the concentration of the British homeowners and holidaymakers, they had also booked through the British holiday company Mark Warner Ltd. That was placed in 5A Rua Dr. Agostinho de Silva, which was an apartment owned by a retired teacher from Liverpool, one of the several privately owned properties in the company's rented. Now, the SA was a two-bedroom ground floor apartment in the fifth block of the group of the apartments of the Waterside Village, which lay on the perimeter of part of the Mark Warner Ocean Club. Now, Matthew and Rachel Oldfield were next door in 5B, Jane Turner and Russell O'Brien in 5D, the Paynes and Diana Webster on the first floor, and located in the corner was accessible to the public from two sides. Now, sliding glass door patios in the living room at the back overlooked Ocean's Club, tennis courts, tapas restaurant, and bar, and the patio doors could be accused via public street. Now, Rua Dr. Francisco General Martins were a small gate and sat a step that led to the 5A's balcony and living room. Now, 5A's front room was on the opposite side of the door at the Ocean Club. On Rua Dr. Augustino da Silva. Now, the McCann children slept in the bedroom next to the front door, which the McCanns kept locked. Now, the bedroom had a waist-high window curtains and a metal exterior shutter, and the latter controlled by a cord inside the window. And the McCanns kept the curtains and the shutter closed throughout the holiday. Now, the windows overlooked a narrow walkway residence in which was separated from the street by a low wall, and Madeline slept in a single bed next to the bedroom door on the opposite side of the room from the window, and the twins were in travel cots in the middle of the room. There was a single bed underneath the window. That's it for part one. That was a brief overview, but next episode we're going to talk about timeline and really dive into the case more. Thank y'all for joining me. I am going to do my best to keep my bias aside for this little mini series. I make no promises. But like I said, the cases that have children in it are harder for me to talk about. But thank y'all. I will see y'all next time.